Take the second. Alrighty then. So here we are with blue-white planeswalkers for the Pioneer format. So earlier on in Pioneer, I had a decent amount of success with blue-white control, top 8ing 2 Comp REL events locally in a single weekend, and basically just having a really good run with the blue-white control deck as it was at the time. This one, however, that I found from one of the Magic Online deck dumps has a bit of a twist. It has a lot of planeswalkers. What are we talking? We're talking 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 planeswalkers plus 3 copies of Elspeth Conquers Death that can bring a planeswalker back from the graveyard if it is destroyed. So, not entirely sure how the games are going to play out here. We do have light control elements from the blue-white control deck, such as Censor, Azorius Charm, Dovin's Veto, Cast Out, and Supreme Verdict as a nice little Wrath of God that cannot be countered. So, generally speaking, our plan here is just to control what threats our opponent is going to get to play out. We're going to keep playing out Planeswalkers. If they put out a bunch of creatures, we're going to Wrath them with Supreme Verdict, and then hopefully figure out a way to win the game from that point. I do love myself a dirtily mid-range or control deck that doesn't really know how it's going to win until it eventually gets there. We also have Castle Ardenvale in the mana base, which can make 1/1 white human creature tokens. We've got Castle Vantress in here, which gives us the ability to scry for 2. We've got Field of Ruin to deal with some of our opponent's pesky lands, which is really important because we are also playing pesky lands. So if we're going to do it, I bet someone else is going to. For some reason, we've got a 1-of copy of Brazen Borrower in this main deck, but hey, it seems like it could do some work here. And then the sideboard is a nice little amalgam of different cards to deal with different things in the Pioneer format, which I'm sure we will figure out as we get into these matches. This is my very first video since I've been contacted by someone from Wizards Tower in Ottawa, Ontario. So they are a card store out of Ottawa. If you want to get any of these cards in paper, I'm sure you can go visit there and spend your delightful Canadian funny money. It comes in wonderful Monopoly colors. And then, of course, I use the Mana Traders system online in order to be able to play the variety of decks on the stream that I do. I'm not sponsored by Mana Traders, but Mana Traders, if you're out there and you see this, I sure could be. All right, let's hop into gameplay and see how she goes. Got coffee in the morning. I also often have coffee in the evening. We've got coffee in the morning. We've got a bunch of planeswalkers. We saw the name of Aspiring Spike there on the trophy leaderboard to Aspire Me. Good luck and have fun, opponent. All right. We have no planeswalkers, but we do have 5 lands, an Azorius Charm, and a Supreme Verdict. I'm going to go ahead and keep this. If our opponent's on something like Inverter, this is a pretty rough keep. Opponent took a mulligan to 6. If they're on something aggressive, we're going to have a decent time in this game. We do have 2 cycle lands here. Immediately hit the inversion. The inverted sensation that's sweeping the nation. Don't Thought Erasure. Why? Why you gotta do this? Getting hit with them Thought Erasures early in the morning. It is not. It's a bitter taste. I thought I threw some coffee creamer in this cup over here, but it's feeling a little bitter. Do have an amount of counter magic in this deck, though we haven't drawn yet. They didn't see it when they went into our hand there, so hopefully we can draw it in a timely fashion. Cast Out, not particularly great, but Castle Ardenvale does give us an option. Gives us a path forward, I suppose. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. Well, that's a damn shame. He is going to get to draw them 1 card here. And then we're going to cast it out on our next turn. I have enough lands here. I'm going to cycle this other land rather than the Azorius Charm. I'm just going to jam this Cast Out down their throat while they are tapped out. It's going to pick its 1 legal target. Super. Alright. So if they had Inverter in hand, they could almost, goodness gracious, almost have just taken the game win there. So we definitely need to draw some action on our side. That's not great. Well, Castle Vantress giving us a scry. So, definitely possible to dig our way out of this one. Ah, sure. The graveyard is pretty full, so Inverter won't win them the game too quickly. But there's a good chance they're holding on to a dig through time. We really have nothing to say about that at the moment, so bottom. Oh boy. Alright. So we've got 2 redraws here. We've drawn none of our 14 planeswalkers. So this has got to be the dig. Alright. I'm going to draw a card with Azorius Charm. See if I can't hit. Nope. Draw a card with Azorius Charm. See if I can't hit. Well, if I hit a Dovin's Veto, I can't cast it anyway. Hit another Azorius Charm. Alright. Well, I suppose should know when things aren't going our way. We do have Disdainful Strokes, Mystical Disputes, and Vetoes in the sideboard, so it looks like this deck is pretty well set up for this matchup. I don't know if this is the kind of deck where I want to bring in Rest in Peace. Now, I'm saying that from my deck's perspective, so against the Inverter deck, you definitely can bring in Rest in Peace, and it has some use. But I'm not entirely sure about this matchup with this deck. Alright, so Dovin's Veto is pretty good, although it doesn't actually counter any of their... it does counter Jace, but it can't target Inverter or Thassa's Oracle at all. So I'm going to look for 6 sideboard cards. We'll see if we have 8. I can't imagine that we do, so Azorius Charm is pretty bad here. Censor is fine. And then the verdicts are not great. I don't know if I want to board out every single verdict, because they often have a transformational pack rat plan. Although it does look nice and clean if I board out all the verdicts and board in all the vetoes. And I suppose that we have things like Teferi, Brazen Borrower, Gideon. Elspeth Conquers Death is probably not super great here, so maybe I'm just going to do a scientist's split of those things in order to keep 2 verdicts. There we go. So we're going to try it that way. Let's go! Not the strongest game 1 there, but we're looking well set up post-board. So our first play is Censor on turn 2, and then we have to draw a land to get to turn 4, but I'm going to go ahead and keep this. If there is an early discard spell, we're going to cycle this Censor in response. But because of the setup of the lands in our hand, I can't have a untapped blue source on turn 1 and an untapped land on turn 2. So if they had Thoughtseize here, we would have been up a little creek, but we are not. Castle Ardenvale comes in untapped off of the Irrigated Farmland, so while the mana is not great for allied color aggro decks in Pioneer yet, we are definitely okay to play control in allied colors. Blue-black, Thought Erasure, I'm going to censor that bad boy. These are my thoughts. Mine. Elspeth Conquers Death, missing its reminder text while it's in my hand. Alright, so we've got 2 4-mana planeswalkers, so if they have a discard spell, they can't stop both of them. Jace, Vryn's Prodigy. Yeah, that's okay. It's not my favorite thing I've ever seen. They've kept 1 blue mana up, so I'm going to assume that they have our good friend Mystical Dispute, and I'm going to play Chadmanly here. Rad Chad, as he is called, Gideon ally of Zendikar. So Gideon has a +1 where he becomes a 5/5 human soldier ally indestructible creature until end of turn. His 0 creates a knight ally token, 2/2, and then he has a -4 where you get a emblem that is basically, what's it called? Glorious Anthem. Creatures you control have +1/+1. So, just generally good value. If they still hold up the blue again, I think I'll probably end up playing Jace, Architect of Thought, into their dispute instead of Teferi. If they have more than one mana open, I'm going to probably shock the Hallowed Fountain, because if the card that they have to counter it is Censor, then I want to be able to deal with that. What are they up to over there? Dig through time, sure. Digging while I'm tapped out seems appropriate. This does mean I'm going to get to put a Teferi down this turn. So if I also draw a piece of counter magic, that would be Wavy Gravy. The waviest of gravies. All right. Mystical Dispute is a pretty great pickup. So, think this has them on what? A 3-turn clock right now. If I make another knight, I hit them for 2, but then they have blockers in the future. So I'm just gonna make another knight here. I haven't actually played with Gideon, ally of Zendikar, in a constructed format before, so not 100% sure how the math and play patterns with him work out most of the time, but that's fine. We're learning, we're growing. We're going to have a great time. Sure. So we can untap up to 2 lands. I'll untap both of my lands that tap for 2 different colors. We got Mystical Dispute ready to go here. So hopefully they do something like, God, not that. Although it means we're going to get to play Teferi this turn. And Teferi turning off all their counter magic. We're putting them in a bit of a squeeze already. So they have to make a tough choice here between taking away my Teferi or taking away my Mystical Dispute. So that's pretty good. Just going to grab something. Because I'm also recording this locally, my computer's doing a bit of a huff. Let's see if I can get it venting a little better. Here we go. What seas do you thought? What thought do you seize, friend? Seize my thoughts. No, seriously, seize my thoughts. Come on, make a decision. Excuse me, Judge. I believe my opponent needs to make a decision. Sweet Alexi Briscott work. Briscott? Yeah. Just definitely 10 out of 10 the best Thoughtseize art right there. Just a little fairy just going into your ear and getting all them thoughts. And for some reason, the moon up in the top right. Opponent also very classy with the Onslaught era basic islands. So maximum respect. Opponent having a good sense of humor about how they'd like to lose this game. I like it when people are nice. Our opponent and ourselves, we played a pretty quick pace all game. Oh, they just scooped up there. I guess that's fair. We had an onslaught of value on the board there. So, do I want to change how I'm boarded on the play? I guess Rest in Peace is pretty good. I mean, the way they showed Jace and the way they played that out, but I'm not entirely sure that I want to do that, with the reason being that it does turn Jace and a Inverter into an auto-win, or if they have a Thassa's Oracle in hand that they can play out after the Inverter. So I think for the deck that we are playing, that I am playing right now, I do not think that it is the smartest idea to have the rest in the piece against them. I think it's kind of a dead card. Well, I suppose with Gideon of the Trials there to shut off their ability to win the game, it's not the end of the world. Take out the last Elspeth Conqueror's Deaths because they are not super fun with it. Yeah, let's try that. All right, I'm going to take out 2 of the Elspeth Conqueror's Deaths for 2 Rest in Peace. We'll see how it goes. Rest in Peace being something that's cheap and is a card that they will feel compelled to take out of my hand with their discard spells is pretty good. I think maybe even 6-drop Elspeth would have been worth taking out for the 3rd Rest in Peace. Innistrad. I wonder if their name is Nick. Alright, this is a keeper. It's a real good one. Double castle, double basic, and an early Rest in Peace. So if they get a Thoughtseize or Thought Erasure on this turn 2, we're definitely going to have enough stuff that they want to take that it's going to be a bit tricky for them to make a decision. Let's see if they have it. Blue. Thassa's Oracle. Interesting. That is a pretty weak play from that deck. It's not likely we're ever going to kill it, but I suppose we could. I'm going to jam the Rest in Peace here and just say this was our plan and we're going to do it. The best thing that they can hit us with on this next turn is probably multiple discard spells. They did not. They didn't yet. Getting in for 1 damage, so this is definitely a way they can win this game. They have all of their mana up, and they can play Jace, Wielder of Mysteries next turn, so pretty incentivized not to do anything and just stay the course for now. They want to play Jace. They're not going to be able to play a discard spell first. They don't have enough mana. Duress. Yeah. So there's not a lot of their 3-mana plays that are particularly frightening. And then we could play land and play Gideon if they don't have another land play here. So I'm going to defend my information for now. My opponent hasn't seen my hand yet, so they don't know what's in it. And if they're stumbling on a land drop here, that could be real good news for us. Let's see. Ah, they roid me. They roid me. The dream here is that they're holding like multiple copies of Dig Through Time, which is nigh unplayable with Rest in Peace in play. They're pretty incentivized to counter this Gideon. The way I played my Dovin's Veto earlier might make them think that I have a Mystical Dispute in my hand on top of everything else. So let's see how she goes. And I've kept my 1 mana open, so disincentivizing them from just jamming into this. Second Gideon is probably the least valuable Planeswalker that still does something pretty relevant. So we're going to play that out. Cool. No, I can't pay for that. I did not have an option to leave any white mana up there, but still looks like we have a Mystical Dispute, and they are drawing quite a number of lands. I'm guessing they have at least 1 Dig Through Time in their hand. Opponent is just hanging out for a second. Just hanging out. Okay, that's probably needs to come down just scotch. There we go. Alrighty. Yep. Donk. Alright. So, alright. With that draw, now I have a veto to play. Teferi will turn off all of their counter magic in perpetuity. Forever. So, but Jace is going to let me draw cards now. So, kind of want to get more going on. Cool. So, reveal the top 3 cards of my library. Opponent splits them into 2 piles. Hero's Downfall. Perfect. That's great. Now I get to draw cards and actually do something. So they're likely to split this Teferi versus Hallowed Fountain and Cast Out. I think I'm pretty likely to take the Hallowed Fountain and the Cast Out. Yeah, since I already have a Teferi. Yeah, so take that pile. Thank you. Alright. Again, have to defend my hand here. Most importantly because there's a Teferi in my hand, and if that resolves, it's going to be gross. This Oracle is like German train service. It's on schedule. It's coming in for 16 more turns to end me eventually. How many vetoes have I played? Is it 3? No, it's just 2. It just feels good. Feels good to say no. 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 Come on. Come on, opponent. I want to get through this. You can't counter my veto. It cannot be done. Can't. Cannot, shalln't, willn't, won't-int. Excuse me. Got a spell in the stack. I'd really like that to resolve now. Please. There we go. We got 5 lands, likely still holding on to a dig through time. Alright, cycle land is fine. So I can play Teferi, and if I shock my Hallowed Fountain, I will have the option of playing my Cast Oot. He's gonna get there, yeah. Alright, I'm just gonna plus it for now. I'm not really incentivized to bounce their Thassa's Oracle or do anything else with it. The other option was minusing on nothing, but then the Thassa's Oracle will just kill my Teferi, and I don't prefer that. Okay, so that's number 7, as I was mentioning before, so that's an important land drop. They're almost able to hardcast their dig through time, so ideally I want to be able to get as many looks as possible at another counter. Most of the counters in my deck will allow me to stop them from doing that, so. Field, yeah. Alright. So I can Castle Vantress and then draw a card. It's not like my favorite play. Suppose I could just bounce nothing and draw a card here, and then if I need to cast out, it's kind of tricky. Tricky spot. So if they draw another land this turn that can come into play untapped, we're going to have to get a little bit funky. So the cards that I have in my deck that can counter the Dig Through Time right now are Disdainful Stroke. They all cost 2 is basically the point that I'm getting to. So I can use Castle Vantress first. I'll have 3 mana left over, and then I can... okay, so it didn't end up mattering, but I could do this and then have the mana left over. So I'm going to put Verdict on the bottom, Veto on the top. Cool, now we're in great shape. Don't want to use my Field of Ruin because of all the things that I just said that I'm doing. Cool, and now we can start making tokens. Just going to bounce nothing and draw a card. Opponent should be worried about that because there's been a change in my game pattern. So we got some safety going on. You can dance. You can dance. Doing it pole to pole. I mean, the unfortunate thing about it is it taxes us a little bit on this turn in terms of mana, but once we get through this turn, we can go back to just plussing my Teferi and just holding onto this Veto. So they shock that in to play Dig Through Time, and I have the Veto. Shisha. Sorry, Ned. Get out of here. So that was exactly the situation we were playing around that whole time. I still got the cast out if I need to cycle in an emergency situation. I'm going to get the emblem. As long as I control a Gideon, I cannot lose the game. So obviously puts us in an okay spot there. If we got a second Dig 2 time, that could be pretty good, but I think, yeah, I wouldn't have enough mana to make the Castle Vantress scry into cast out cycle into counter play that I was talking about before. So here I can cycle this cast out in response to that, but I don't think it's worth it to give up one of my good answers for this. Additionally, Gideon puts me in a position where Inverter doesn't actually kill me anymore. So I'm pretty comfortable letting this Dig Through Time resolve. It's not a great feeling, but the fact that any counter magic they draw is not particularly good is the greatest of feelings. And attack Chadmanly. Sure. You know he's going to attack back for a bunch more, right? I'm going to guess they were aware. All right. Narset's fine. I'll take Narset in a pinch, and then I'll pinch them. Pinch. Poka, poka, poka. All right. So first we're going to boot up Chadmanly. Oop, nope. That's not what I want. Oh, it's the 0 to become a creature. Well, so Oracle can put Chad to 1 loyalty next turn. I guess I'm just going to plus on Oracle for a little while. I suppose I should have played Narset first and consulted my options. Another cast out feels fine. Still in a holding pattern here, but we're not winning the game quickly, but we're certainly not losing it. Another dig. I'm going to cycle a single cast out in response. Teferi's all right. All right, dig away, opponent. They're going to have plenty of cards to work with over there, but their avenues to victory are fairly limited. Because they're tapped down, and I currently have the emblem, I'm going to make an odd play this turn, but it's going to sort of kick this game into, that's a good draw, kick this game into a more aggressive spot here. So bouncing the Thassa's Oracle, which is weird, but I have this Gideon of the Trials emblem here, so while it's a little bit scary, they have to get that off the board. Third Field of Ruin. So yeah, definitely got some lands going on. I'm going to activate my Narset. So do I want a second Mystical Dispute or do I want a Teferi? So the concern here is that they kill my Gideon and they combo me. However, if they combo and they fail to actually get the win this turn, then they just kill themselves. So I'm going to take the Teferi. Little bit awkward, but I'm going to minus this Teferi just to draw a card. I just want, yeah, there we go. I want the maximum number of cards in my hand right now because we're just kicking this game into sort of situation where I finally want to win. I finally feel like I'm comfortable with resources that I want to win. So I'm going to play Teferi, Hero of Dominaria here, and then at end of turn I get to untap 2 more lands. And basically, as long as I make it through their next turn, this is going to should be the win for us. I've got Dispute and Stroke to play, so I don't think they're going to be able to get through all of this, and they can't use counter magic. So maybe Thought Erasure here. Okay, so obviously a good way to start. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana left over. So if they take my Dispute or my Stroke, that means they won't be able to do the other one. The flip side of this is I could Mystical Dispute that for full cost, but then that puts me in... Okay, cool. This is fine. So they have 6 mana left over, which is enough mana to play Inverter and Thassa's Oracle, but I have the Gideon Emblem, so that wouldn't even win them the game, and it'll put them on 0 library. I think they cannot possibly win the game this turn. They get to look at all my beautiful options for killing them. So they take the Dispute. That makes sense. That's a very efficient counter against a lot of the things that they want to do. Hero's Downfall, my Gideon. I think that's okay. So I have multiple redraws at a new Gideon. And there actually is just factual, nothing I can do about that. So yeah. So our priority is drawing a new Gideon of any type this turn. Jace, Vryn's Prodigy. Yep, can't counter that one. I could cast it out, but I'm not really incentivized to do that. I could tuck it if I want to. So I'm going to cycle the Censor. There's a new Chad. I'm also going to cycle the cast out. It's just not... Yeah, that's fine. Oh. We're flooded with Chads. I have so many Chads, I don't even... What do I do with my Chads? I don't know what to do with my Chads. This bad boy, Rad Chad, gonna win the game at a reasonable pace. Cha-cha. Make a dude. Knight ally. Gotta chalice check my opponent here. Just get this human in there. Bell is gonna mess him up. Jace is a 16-year-old boy. Definitely vulnerable to the charms and wiles of this early 20-something French beauty. I assume she's in her early 20s. Seems about right. Maybe 19. Can I get a Disney lore check? Does anybody run lore for Disney? Alright, cool. So 2 Disdainful Strokes and a Censor, so even if they draw Jace. Stroke it. Can't counter this. So they also, again, they need to remove my Gideon of the Trials. So one of the advantages of playing this sort of Gideon tribal chunk of a bunch of Gideon of the Trials and then some number of Gideon Ally of Zendikar is that the way the emblem works, it just cares if you control a Gideon, not specifically Gideon of the Trials. And it's very, very good against the Inverter deck. So 1-0 here, feeling good, rocking and rolling into match number 2. Thank you to all the wonderful people who've been checking out my YouTube and my Twitch over the last little while. It's made this a great investment of time, and it just something that I started for just funsies, just to record my own gameplay and try to learn and be better. And I'm glad other people are checking out this stuff, and I like being, I don't know, semi-entertaining, whatever amount of entertaining that I am. Won the die roll, yes please. This is a little bit of slow hand, but we're on the play, and just having lands in this deck is absolutely great. So going to go tap land, pass. We have Brazen Borrower here, which kind of doubles as a 2 and 3 on the curve. Tapped Breeding Pool. So this is probably Sultai Delirium. Azorius Charm, not a bad pickup there. If this is Sultai Delirium, it could be blue-green ramp, something like that. Another blue land. Satyr Wayfinder. Oh, it could be Dredgeless Dredge. Yeah. Nope, it's Delirium. Cool. I don't want to bounce that. Azorius Charm is not super useful right now, so I'm just going to cycle it to draw a card. Verdict, a little bit better. Think... Gonna play Teferi and bounce nothing. Seems good. I think they're just straight up missing black mana, which is pretty good for us. Elspeth Conquers Death seems real good in this matchup, so. Oh, and the Rest in Pieces, by the way, let's just circle back a little bit. Rest in Peace was a rock star in that game against Inverter, so I definitely misevaluated initially what I was supposed to be doing there. Looks like Rest in Peace is going to be really good in this matchup as well. It's definitely going to be a different split of cards that are good here, but a shock. All right, so good chance there's a Thoughtseize coming in. Likely to take my Elspeth Conqueror's Death. Yep. Standard staple Elspeth Conqueror's Death. Sweet Saga. Seems generally alright in this format. It's a little slow at 5 mana, but it's got synergy with things like Teferi Time Raveler, so. And they are going to be able to escape that Uro next turn, so definitely want to keep my eye on that. I do have Supreme Verdict ready to go for the turn after that, so. Okay, I'm going to put this field in, plus my Teferi. Not much else I can be doing here, although I can Verdict at instant speed if I need to, so if they have something like Questing Beast, it's not going to be that good for them. And then next turn, my Castle Ardenvale comes online. It's not particularly impressive here, but it does give me something to do with my mana versus what they are doing right now. Swift and my Teferi. That's just rude. Yeah, I got nothing to say about that. Good draw. I don't know if I want to put this Brazen Borrower into play at end of turn. I kind of want to. Yeah. Puts them on a clock in the air. If I draw a counterspell for their Uro, I'm going to be pretty happy. That's not one, but that's okay. This deck is not flush with counterspells. I think it was only Censor that I could draw there to get that, so. Chonk. Opponent's currently on a 4-turn clock. So few turns. Is this Uro? It's gotta be Uro, right? That's why it's taking so long. Yeah, cool. So, likely to Verdict this. Fortunately, I don't get to do it at instant speed, but I'll take it. I'm going to take the 1 from Satyr Wayfinder and fix my mana and disrupt their mana a little bit. So I'm going to shoot their, let's see, they've got double black, and so I'm going to shoot their second blue source here. So opponent on a 3-color deck with some occasionally intensive demands. I think I probably missed a chance where I could have taken them off their second blue there and made it hard for them to escape the Uro, but that was not the way I was planning for this game to go, so I think I was just... I closed my mind to that possibility, which was obviously not the best play. Cool. So, feeling distinctly behind here, but we're down, but we're not out. We've chomped through one of our 14 or whatever ludicrous number of planeswalkers. I would like to draw another. That would be ideal. Scoos? Well, that's just rude. Satyr Wayfinder, sure. Don't know why they played them in that order, but it's fine. This gives them enough fuel to escape their Uro again, which feels pretty bad. Elspeth Conquers Death is going to be a good answer for that, though. Assuming that it doesn't get thought squoozed away from me. So I think I'm going to Verdict here. This gets their Scavenging Ooze off the table, which means they can't stop me from, or they can't eat my Planeswalker out of my graveyard. And I'm hoping what happens this turn is they just escape Uro again. Then I Elspeth Conquers Death to exile it. So, starting to claw my way back into this game in terms of cards, because this has drawn them, I want to say 3 extra cards in spots. Hopefully they don't have a second Scavenging Ooze there. Cool, they did not. Alright. I'm going to jam my Elspeth Conquers Death. I don't think they play any counter magic in the main deck. Really hope not. Cool. Yep. So that's exiled. Sweet. I'm going to hold on to this Irrigated Farmland. The most expensive card in my deck is at 6. And right now I kind of want to have the option of cycling it. What are they playing? Grizzly Salvage, sure. So just churning a bunch of cards into their graveyard. They put Emrakul, the Promised End, into their hand. Yeah. They got 6 card types. They got 6 mana. So if they have another mana here, they can Emrakul. But they're not going to be able to do anything with the turn they take from me. So that's not too bad. And then I'm going to be able to cast out. Oh, what they will be able to do is cycle my cast out, but that's fine. I've cast 2 verdicts, so alright. Looks like they don't have. They have a Garen Brig. Cool. Well, out of all the things they could do here, this is one of the least bad. So they get to take over my next turn. So I'm going to leave the cast out in my hand because it's very likely they're going to cycle it if they're smart. Hopefully we don't immediately draw into another one. More importantly, the Elspeth Conquers Death gives us a way to at least somewhat survive this situation because we're going to be able to bring our Teferi back into play. So they could play the Irrigated Farmland, they can cycle the cast out, but it doesn't look like there's too much else they can do. So they cycle cast out, they draw Gideon. Gideon can turn off Emrakul, so that's kind of funny. If they're smart, they'll play the Irrigated Farmland here and then just pass the turn. And cycle it, alright. And cycle Azorius Charm too, you know. Could also use it to give my creatures lifelink until end of turn, just essentially discarding it. We're staring down this Emrakul. We ain't scared. Spaghetti mom. Mom spaghetti. Yep. So I give my creatures lifelink. I don't have any creatures, so. Alrighty. So I will choose to bring back. Oh, I could bring back Brazen Borrower. I won't, but I could. Bring back Teferi. Put an extra loyalty on him. Sweet. So first I'm going to cycle this Irrigated Farmland. Because I want to see if I draw another cast out. Did not. I'm going to play Chadsmanly. I'm going to plus it on the Emrakul, so the Emrakul can't do damage to me. Gonna minus Teferi on nothing. I would really like to... Oh, I should have done that before. It's fine. It's all going to be fine. Bad sequencing. I am thy king. Thy ruler. You think you know bad sequencing. I was born to it. Alright. Abrupt Decay my Gideon, but he was keeping me alive. Ah, that's kicking pants. What else you got? Another Uro. Sure, why not? So just getting ground into the dirt by Sultai Delirium here, which is nice because I really like that deck, so good to see it doing the thing. We had a very sparse Planeswalker draw again, so... Okay. They pick up Jace for its Prodigy, sure. So just looking for another Chad. That is not a Chad. Plus my Teferi. He's probably going to survive their next turn because I cannot imagine that they attack Teferi instead of attacking me for 13, but I mean, it's possible. Yeah, they're attacking me. Cool. Take my 13. Ow. Can still top deck the third Supreme Verdict. So, still a decent number of outs hanging out in the deck. Comes Uro? No. What is this? For 8 mana? A Walking Ball for 4? Sure. Verdict still gets me out of here, so. Yep. Probably just going to deal 1 to Teferi. Nope. They're going to kill it. Alright. I don't know if they needed to do that, but I guess it does get my Teferi off the table. It means I can't instant speed Verdict them. So, make a 1/1. Hey, look at the thing that we did. Alright, so... Castle... Verdict... Well, no, I don't want to miss... I've got 1 potential point of damage. You get in there, Belle. Don't be afraid of some kind of clockwork construct machine. This thing ain't scary. It's got a hat. You afraid of a hat? Hell no. Not afraid of no hat. Alright. Opponent's still got a million resources here, but at least we are going to survive the next turn, so... Then I guess we could top deck something like Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and dig ourselves right out of this. So, or Narset into Teferi, something like that could be fine. It's got to be Uro coming back for like the 80 millionth time. They have 7 card types in their graveyard currently, so their Tarmogoyf is going to be huge. Huge. Trigger. Do love Uro. And Jace, sure. Maybe we'll draw the 4th Verdict. Maybe everything isn't horrible. Make a dudette. Censor. Well, that's not particularly useful right now. Cycle. Teferi. Yeah, that's all right. Good old replacement Teferi. So, not great, but I'm going to bounce the Uro. Just get it out of here. Chadsmanly on the battlefield feels all right. They are going to get to flip their Teferi, or flip their Jace, and then be able to flashback Abrupt Decay. But I think, on balance, that's fine. I'm just going to get the emblem. If I cast another Gideon at some point, it'll be okay if I do not have to emblem that one. So. And because I put Uro in their hand, if they want to get Uro back into play, they're going to have to put it in their graveyard again and then escape it again. So definitely grinding through the resources. They're down to 17 cards in deck, so it is possible to maneuver this game into a situation where they just end up decking because they can't kill us fast enough. Game 2, we're definitely looking to have Rest in Peace in our deck. Game 2 and 3. It's just such a drain on their resources. Like, if they escape Uro here, I can just plus Gideon on it. They can flip the Jace, but depends on a lot of other factors if they'll have enough mana to get the Abrupt Decay. And then I still have Castle Ardenvales to block the Uros over and over and over again, so this game's going to be a little bit about manipulating their Uros. They can only leave the black up, so if they want to Abrupt Decay this turn, they need to have a green mana in hand. Green is their most common color, so it's pretty likely, but it's possible that they don't. Here come Uro. Yep, trigger. Sure. You've got it. The donk. So they didn't hit a green land there. They are going to flip their Jace. Yeah. I want to find an answer to this reasonably quickly, but... Yep, shrink my human. I'm okay with that. Okay. Teferi is good. Yeah, it means I get to bounce their Uro and then crack in on their Jace for 4. Also draw a card. I'll keep the new Teferi, thank you. The new shiny model. Get out of here, Uro. So they're down to 13 cards in deck, so they're actually getting kind of into some dire straits. Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Bing, 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 bing. Do-do-do. Sorry. Just Gideon is swinging in, and he's so sultan right now. Look at him. All Middle Eastern and glorious. All right. So, grinding out the Sultai Delirium deck here. They finally hit a Traverse the Ulvenwald. I don't know what they can get with this. Maybe another Murderous Rider if they're playing 2. I know they milled over at least one of their Tireless Trackers. Ishkana Graph Widow. Yeah. I don't think they have enough mana to instantly kill me with that. It's pretty intensive. Yeah. But we're going to have to deal with this immediately. So, Ishkana is a 3/5 reach and has a 7 mana activated ability that says target opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control, which is definitely going to kill me in 1 activation. So, we've ground this game out pretty far, but it's only so far we can grind it. Sure. Uro from the hand. Also worth noting, they still have to get my Gideon off the table if they want to win the game. So, putting out multiple blockers here is not the worst thing. Cast out will do it. Great. Super. Sweet. This does make it... Alright, so we're not going to be able to get in on Jace. They just have too many spiders. I don't really want to go to 0, so just going to cast out Ishkana now. Ishkana. Obviously, this is not great if they immediately have a way to pop that out, but I'm going to make one of their spiders unable to deal damage. So if they try to attack my Gideon down with spiders, I can make another human, group block one of the spiders, and Gideon will only take 1, which is fine. They have a Jace they can activate before combat, but that's fine. So they're getting back Abrupt Decay, sure. So they can Abrupt Decay my Gideon of the Trials, which is not the end of the world. Unless they have a different way to kill me right now. Getting real close on this one. And that also did require them to take all the loyalty off their Jace. So, alright, Fatal Push, sure. Oh, they probably got a whack of Fatal Pushes in their hand. So, it looks like they'll be able to swing me down to 2 here. Yeah. Maybe 1. Question is, do I want to go to 2 and then have the ability to have 3 blockers next turn? I don't think so. I think if there's another push in their hand, I should just tax them on it. So let's put out our creature, try to go to blocks. Oh, they are attacking my Teferi to get it off the board, so they're heavily incentivized to push here. I'm going to block and protect my Teferi here. Since they seem to put enough of, or that level of investment in trying to kill him, I think it's worth trying to protect him. We have 2 active Castle Ardenvales next turn, so Uro plus 3 spiders is not going to kill us. It'll hit us for 2. Or 3, whatever we choose. But Verdict off the top would be close to a game win. Just because they're so low on resources. That is not a Verdict off the top. Still alive, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This takes basically 5, so just going to hold on to this Hallowed Fountain. Just do a little bluffing. It's a good chance they just have double... No, probably only single removal spell. It's not likely they have 2. Thoughtseize, sure. See my shame! Womp womp. If I had instant speed Verdict there, it would have been sick. I think they're all coming at me. Burrow's coming at me. Spider coming at me. Spider coming at me. Spider coming at me. Alright, so everything's attacking me. Trigger's fine. Doesn't matter if they draw the removal spell before or after. Come on! Come on! There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make a dude. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make a dude. I would like to block. How you block, sir? Sir, madam. They or robot. Go to 2. Alright. Couple outs in this deck. Azorius Charm is possibly one of them. Draw. Censor. Draw. Hallowed Fountain. Womp womp. Alright. I'm going to plus here. I'm going to play the Hallowed Fountain that they know about. We're going to pass the turn back to them and watch them kill us. Because, you know, they really did earn it. They're down to 5 cards in library. They're going to have 4 cards in library. If I had an Ipnu Rivulet, I could put them down to actual, factual 0 cards in library and then die. I don't even have enough mana to double activate Ardenvales here, so just going to take the hit and die. So, going to game 2. Clearly, Rest in Peace is going to be an important part of our arsenal. Let's see what else we've got going on in our sideboard. I almost think Elspeth Conquers Death is worth keeping, too, because maybe 1 Aether Gust is coming in here. So, Elspeth Conquers Death can exile things that they have. Well, no, probably not. Not worth keeping. Surge of Righteousness, red or black. Yeah, okay, cool. So I kind of want to keep the Elspeth Conqueror's Death if I can, and then the Aether Gust seems okay. Dovin's Veto is not particularly good. They don't have a huge amount of spells that it counters. I guess it's okay against things like Murder Strider, but I don't really want to keep it in there just for that. Brazen Borrower seems less than great. So 1 Veto, 1 Borrower. Cast Out was, I think it was very difficult for them to remove in their main deck for sure. Narset seems less than great here. She does counter Uro, drawing extra cards, but doesn't deal with any of their other card draw. I feel like Ashiok would be pretty good, but for obvious reasons, we don't have that. Is it obvious? Maybe not. And then 1 more cut. I'm pretty happy with the way I've set this up. Maybe one of the Gideon of the Trials. I think this is not really the Gideon of the Trials matchup. Gideon out of Zendikar a little bit better here. Could actually imagine bringing in some more Vetoes or Mystical Disputes. Maybe even Disdainful Stroke, just... I think Aether Gust is probably fine. Red or green? Yeah, it's pretty good. Stroke can't hit Uro. Mystical Dispute can, but I don't want to over-commit to counter magic in this matchup. Azorius Charm is not particularly good here, so maybe going Charm out for Mystical Dispute. The fact that it cycles. Maybe I'll do Scientist split 2 and 2, so this way I get to say, alright, whenever I draw my Mystical Disputes, if they weren't as good as if they had been cycled as a Azorius Charm. So, bit of messy sideboarding here. Again, I didn't build this deck. It is sweet, and I have played decks similar to this before, but this is how I do. Alright, so this is a slow and clunky hand against a slow and clunky deck. I'm going to keep it. Obviously, it's not great if we get hit with a bunch of Thoughtseizes, but at the same time, it kind of is because we've got all these cycle lands, so... I'm going to lead on Hallowed Fountain and just Hallowed Fountain and see where this takes us. Brief aside, anyone who called it Hallowed Fountain, and I've seen many, many people do that for many, many years, it's just Traverse for land. Sure. I love seeing a good Traverse for land. One of the best cards in their deck being used to just go fetch up a land. I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. Alright, Teferi Time Raveler is a great draw here. Hopefully they don't have Satyr Wayfinder on turn 2. Wayfinder is definitely a little frustrating to be playing Teferi Time Raveler against because you don't want to bounce it. Gives them more value. But if you... yeah, that's fine. If you do bounce it, then... or if you don't bounce it and you want to draw a card, then they just get to kill your Teferi. Luckily, my opponent helped me out by just taking away this difficult decision. Cycle Farmland, that is a great land to draw. Alright. Mystical Dispute's pretty good here. I'm going to play Castle Ardenvale so that I have that available to me. They play the front side, quote-unquote, of an Uro here. I don't know if I'm going to counter that. I think I let that go. They don't have any cards in their graveyard yet. Mystical Dispute is a cheap way to be able to counter that. If I cycle Farmland here, it puts me in a dicey situation if I don't draw a land. I did anyway, but I want to be cognizant of that. Field gives me something to do if I don't have to cast Dispute here, so I'm going to play the Field. We've got End of Turn Grizzly Salvage. Yeah, it's a 1-for-1. It does give them a lot of resources into their graveyard, but as I was mentioning before, if they're going down the Uro path, pretty comfortable with that. They put Emrakul, the Promised End, in their hand. Sure, they're a little bit off of that, but I would like to draw a Rest in Peace fairly soon. Would be good. Tapland. Tapland nothing is pretty great for us. All right, so just going to fire off this field, and then we get to do Teferi. If they get black here, it means they still have access to Murderous Rider, which I'm not thrilled about. I think I want more white mana still. No, blue's are right here. They did not get a swamp. All right, so they don't have access to Murderous Rider here, which is pretty good from my perspective. I want to jam this Teferi, but there's a very good chance they have something like Disdainful Stroke up, so it's probably correct that I wait until next turn. Walking Ballista X2. So that's going to be able to kill my Teferi next turn. I think I have to fire off Dispute on this. I can cycle my farmland first to see if I pick up something else. Field of Ruin. Yeah, that's no good. Alright, we're just going to fire off this Mystical Dispute and then hope things are going to break our way on casting Teferi next turn. They got 6 card types in their graveyard, so they're getting pretty close to Emrakul. Gideon's a pretty good pickup there. Yeah. Cool. Emrakul's actually not that much of a blowout right now, and Gideon's going to give them something to use their whatever removal they have going on. Can't Mystical Dispute that, so I think we're just going to get the Emblem here. The other abilities are not useful. If I make it into a 4/4 creature, it's got Summoning Sickness, so I can attack with it, and there's nothing for me to prevent damage from. Uro. Yeah, that's fine. Was expecting that a while back, so. Okay. They have a blue up here, so I'm going to shoot their breeding pool. It's entirely possible they're not playing a second island in their deck, which means this cuts them off of blue this turn. So let's see if my hypothesis is correct on that. No, they had a second blue. Okay. Good deck construction from my opponent. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana available. So just gonna make this a 4/4. Crack in here. Douche. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I play an untapped Hallowed Fountain here, I have 2 available to me if I cast the Teferi. I think I'm finally going to cast the Teferi with the idea being that once I do, there's a chance that Emrakul can come down next turn. Yeah. Nope. The chance that Emrakul can come down next turn or Uro can come back out, but Elspeth Conquers Death will clean that up, and now there's a Teferi Hero of Dominaria for it to pick up, so there's a good number of cases in which what just happened is okay for us. Didn't draw any Rest in Pieces this game, which is a little bit frustrating. It's a white spell, so their counter magic... It's a white spell that's 2 CMC, and the counter magic they have is likely Mystical Dispute and maybe Disdainful Stroke, so... Nissa who shakes the world. Well, that sucks. Because that is going to kill my Gideon. Shoot. That was not really on my radar for this game. We're going to get to Elspeth who conquers death, so it's not the end of the world, but certainly was not the funnest. Yeah. Cool. Just going to fire off this Hallowed Fountain. My opponent has 4 cards in hand. I only have 1, so it kind of looks crappy, but it's really not as bad as it looks. They have 5 mana, 6 card types in their graveyard. Okay, so they're going to get probably another land here. This does give my Verdict something extra to do, so that's not bad. They flip Passage, Blooming Marsh, Uro, and Garenbrig. Sure. Okay, so this means Emrakul can come down next turn. But if they play the Emrakul, that actually puts me in a better spot. Okay. Second Verdict drawn here. Gonna fire off one of them. And then if they Emrakul, then they get to choose what comes back with Elspeth Conquers Death, which is like not my favorite, but 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2. Oh, I killed one of their lands there. Cool. So they can't Emrakul this turn. Wait, nope. Garenbrig means they can. But I don't think it's that devastating. It just means that they get to use Elspeth Conquers Death to pick up my worst Planeswalker, which is probably Gideon. And then I'm going to Wrath them right back. So I don't know if this deck is specifically constructed to be really, really good against Emrakul, but it certainly seems like it. Yeah, and even if I draw something like a Rest in Peace here, which is like theoretically a little frustrating for me, yeah. So they got to get Teferi or Gideon or Big Teferi. So I think they'll get Little Teferi, maybe. No, probably just Gideon. Gideon is surprisingly okay here, so. I'm going to take this second while they're controlling my turn, hit the watch room, so I'll be back. See how horribly my game is ruckused. They're getting Teferi. What does that mean? They can tuck himself? Yeah, they can tuck him, I guess. Yeah, sure. So my turn, so he's third from the top. On my turn, I draw 1. I can cycle Censor. If I have another card draw, I get there. So that doesn't seem too bad. I was going to go to the washroom, but now I'm too excited. Because they brought back my Teferi and then they tucked him. I mean, hey, look, a second card that cycles. Sweet. Another Verdict. Okay, so I can get to my Teferi. I kind of like it on top right now because that means they can't deal with it. So I'm just going to Verdict here. Pass the turn. And then I have Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, sitting on top of my deck. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I'd played the farmland this turn, I actually would have been able to Verdict and Teferi. But then again, yeah, they're not getting an Uro out this turn, so I don't need to Verdict plus Teferi. So hopefully they don't have Disdainful Stroke in hand here. I really hope not. Please no. Yeah. Yep. Well, we're going to have to play through that eventually, so. They've got several times they can bring Uro back out because I still haven't hit Rest in Peace. Jace, sure. Oh, they don't have double blue right now, though. So. Oh, I took them off of their breeding pool earlier, and then we verdicted. Yeah, we hit them with the Verdict and took away the island that they had woken up with Nissa. So hilariously, they actually did end up choked on blue. So sometimes you make some neat percentage plays and they pay off in ways that you did not imagine. Azorius Charm, still gonna cycle this. Still looking for Rest in Peace here. There are 3 in this deck, and we're 34 cards remaining. So we're 26 cards into our deck, looking for this rip. We want to grip it and rip it. I would love to Rest in Peace them with this fully stocked graveyard they have. Wayfinder, sure. So they're still looking for more blue. Blooming Marsh, Tracker, Murderous Rider. Okay, good. Censor. Not great now, but I do love this card because it cycles. Plains. Even more not greater, but still acceptable. Come on, baby. Hold together. Burrow from hand. Yeah, you got it. Got recommended Squatchief. Well, thank you, YouTube. Okay. You want to attack? Want to give my human something to do here? You know what? I'm on the beatdown right now, so I'm gonna just take this. Flip all my bells into play soon. I can actually make 2 humans per turn starting next turn, so getting a little aggro with my blue-white Planeswalker control deck here. Worthy of note, not really the way I want to win this game, but they are brutally low on clock, so without the second blue source, not being able to bring Uros into play is probably the death of them in this game, and they burn their Emrakul. Didn't really get too much out of it, so they are in some dire straits over in opponent territory. My castle is just vomiting out all these sweet humans to just beat up my opponent. Yeah, Verdict is like some acceptable sort of, what do I want to say, like insurance for anything they could resolve. If they find their Ishkana or something like that. Next turn we're going to have 5 power in play, so I don't need to play real win conditions. Cool. I think leaving the Verdicts in definitely worked out. Did I take out any? I don't think I did. Yeah. Rest in peace. Elspeth conquers death. Well, that's something. Okay. So we're going to swing. We're going to Verdict. We're going to play Elspeth conquers death to exile nothing, but I think it's just worth getting it into play when they have no blue mana up. It will eventually translate into a Planeswalker, so. And I think we'll still have Mystical Dispute mana, so that ain't not bad. See ya. Suppose that was a little ambitious, considering that they could draw their Ishkana, but hey, what? If you want to make different plays, why don't you stream the Magic the Gathering online? Immediately punished? Rex Sage. Yeah, alright. Good play. Good play, opponent. Definitely. Okay, let's top deck the Rest in Peace now, shall we? That'd be great. Cast out. I'm gonna hold on to that. Okay. Ardenvale. Making some humans. Alright, the beatdown continues. There are going to be some spicy Wizards Tower videos soon. Well, this is the test run video, Alex. So this is what I'm going to sort of submit to them as my my preview reel. So thanks for popping in. And thank you for the recommendation. Okay, so that gets them to their Uro finally. Thoughtseize. Well, that's just rude. I'm going to dispute it. And then if they pay for my dispute, I think I cycle my cast out. Yeah. They're still going to be able to get their Uro back, but my double castle kind of means that Uro's not really going to kill me. So, do I want to cycle this or do I want to play it? I think I play it and exile their Rec Sage. Yeah, that seems reasonable. So the problem with cycling it is if I immediately pick up something like Rest in Peace and they get the Thoughtseize away from me, that is less than great. Cool. So they're going to 1 here. Then Uro comes back, puts them to 4. So Uro's definitely keeping them in the game again. So, all right, they just scooped up. I think they were probably just feeling the fact that they were never going to beat us before the clock. Got them. There's all our planeswalkers. All right. I'm going to hit the washroom real quick, and then we're going to hop into match number... Oh, no. They scooped out of that game. We still have to technically finish this match, but they have like a minute left. So I don't think there's any possible way they're going to get there. But all right, my 26 land deck. I'm going to mulligan this. We're just too likely to win this match as long as we get a reasonable number of turns into this game. Gonna send back one of these verdicts. Sure. We have turn 2 Rest in Peace in this game, which again is not like as insane as playing it on turn like 7 or 8 or something like that, but Jace, sure. So shields down here, just gonna grip it and rip it. They have to do something about this, otherwise they're not going to be able to kill me very quickly at all. Most of their threats are ponderous unless they are Uro. Next article is going up today. That's awesome, dude. What is it about? I, too, have written 2 articles in the last little while. They took my Aether Gust. What does that mean? They have less than a minute to try to win this game, so I think we're going to be A-okay. Likely to cycle my cast down at end of turn. They have, unfortunately, Rest in Peace means that their Jace Prince Prodigy is just a looter, and 2 mana looter is great. Red-black control, awesome. Is that for Pioneer? Is it playing Kroxa? It better be playing Kroxa. I flippin' know it's playing Kroxa. Alright, let's cycle this. Just want to hit my land drops. On my way up to Teferi here. Gonna shock that as an intimidation technique. Pioneer. Yep. It's like some sick red-black mid-range decks in Modern right now, but obviously not really your forte as of currently. What is Kroxa? Well, gonna try to hit my 5th land here. Didn't do it. There it is. I'm going to play Gideon instead of Teferi because they likely have some kind of counter magic. If it's Disdainful Stroke, they straight up can't hit this. If it's Mystical Dispute, they have to play full cost, and then I still have my Teferi left over. Elspeth, Conquers Death, and Rest in Peace is a non-bow, like I mentioned in my sideboarding, but they're both powerful enough effects I'm not really fussed about it, especially in the matchup. Yeah, they get my Teferi, but like, there's just no way out here for them of the clock crushing them beneath its mighty, I don't know, hands? Hands. The hands of time. I wanted to call them tines. Like a fork. The Tines of Time. Be a good album name, I guess. Okay, we're going to play a redundant Rest in Peace. They're probably not playing anything that just like destroys all enchantments, and there's the match win on clock. So if you are going to play Sultai Delirium online, please learn to play quickly. It's frustrating because it's very click intensive. Every time you want to get your Uro out, it's It's a lot of clicks, but you gotta be able to get through it. In paper, it's obviously a lot easier. Anyway, I will be back in 2 seconds. I got 3 more matches to play with this awesome blue-white Planeswalker deck. Fighting the urge to skip F&M and eat a pizza. Why don't you eat the pizza at F&M and then skip there? And then you can skip home. Burn those calories. All right, be back in 2 seconds, and we'll rock on. Alrighty then. Heading into match number 3. Our first 2 are against Blue-Black Inverter and Sultai Delirium. We did lose game 1 in both cases, but this deck rallied nicely. So really proving that this pile of Planeswalkers can be reasonable in the format, which is neat. I'm on the right setting. Let us continue 4th, or 5th, or whatever. I don't know. All right, match the 3rd on the draw. We got a slow hand, but I have spells and I have a Censor. I have a 2nd cycle land, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this. It is definitely slow, but Blooming Marsh, sure. Elvish Mystic. Ooh, okay. All right. So we played against some of the best decks in the meta, and now Elvish Mystic. Gonna play out the island first, because if they start playing things like Steel Leaf Champion, might be inclined to cycle this Censor. Is this Scales? Yeah, Regisaur. Yeah, that's exactly what I was worried about. All right, might be dead quickly here. I'm gonna cycle this, so we're looking to draw Supreme Verdict or this is fine. This is also pretty great. Cool. Azorius Charm was going to be one of the better draws there. I think I'm incentivized to Brazen Borrower this now. The reason is that if this is the deck I think it is, they're probably playing Great Henge. Oh, I should have played that during their upkeep. That was a mistake. All right, so should have played in the upkeep in response to the discard trigger, but I definitely don't want to let them go main phase because then they can fire off the Great Henge for a severe discount. So yeah, green-black stuff. I think this is green-black Henge, I believe the name of the deck. Collected Company. So this could be multiple, Rotting Regisaurs. Ronas, also pretty savage. So I think I'm going to put Chadsman Lee into play here. just as a little sacrificial Chad. Gonna plus it. The Regisaur can't deal damage this turn. So Ronus is gonna have to come over here and kill Chad themselves. Discard a Henge. Seems... the double Henge. Understood. Then Ronus is going to come over and kill Machad. Yeah, just getting pretty buried here. And this having Indestructible is definitely not something we're well equipped to deal with, at least right now. I'm going to play a Regisaur as an 8/6 plus draw a card. Seems good. Drawing a Verdict even wouldn't have been that good. So Gideon gives me a blocker on a future turn, but I don't have an untapped land for next turn. So probably just dead, but I'm going to fire off this Chad, get his 2/2, maybe stay alive for another turn. Settle the Wreckage out of the sideboard is going to be great here for game 2 and 3. Against Andy C, 1986. Good year, man. I think we just actually might be straight up dead this turn because Ronus can give a creature trample. Why didn't you Wrath? Well, I definitely should have. Should have played... no, Hour of Devastation wouldn't do it. They have freaking 7/6s. Are they splitting these? No, they're just killing me. Just kill me. Friendo, just kill me. Just have everything attack me. Yeah, that's... You can give it trample. Trample! It's making me Seinfeld over here. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Alright, cool. Got him. So, gonna take 8, 15, 20, 21. What? Sure. Take 23. Yeah, 23. Why didn't you Wrath? Alright. So I think Settle the Wreckage seems great. Surge of Righteousness. Try to target black or red creature that's attacking or blocking. Yeah, that seems okay. So Dovin's Veto is probably not great. I mean, I know it can hit things like the Henge, but it's not the most important thing in the world. And then, okay, Narset's no good here. Jace is probably less than great here. Much better when they go wide. Which, you know, they don't really. Elspeth might be good here. Definitely want Elspeth Conquers Death. That's a way to exile Ronus. And if I need one more cut, it's probably Gideon of the Trials. Just... It can be good if they're down to 1 threat, but otherwise not great. Cool. I would like to play, yes. I would like to play this hand full of censors. And by full of, I mean 2. But two's probably enough. So we got Censor into Teferi here, so that's probably one of the best sequences we could have. So they're always looking for turn 1 elf. Oh, or Heart's Desire. It's considerably less dangerous draw from them than the elf is. It's not, you know, ideal for us, but Lovestruck Beast cost 3 is 5/5. But it has a bit of circular text. What's up, Roy? Hope you're feeling well. Hope the doctor gave you a candy cane or a lollipop after your examination or whatever you had. All right. Dos manas. All right. They do nothing. Okay. All right. I'm going to play Teferi and bounce their token. If they play their Lovestruck Beast next turn, I can just kill it. They're not able to Abrupt Decay this in response because Teferi is a fun and balanced magic card. No candy cane. Oh, well. You gotta find yourself a new proctologist. For reference, I have no idea what kind of doctor my friend went to see, but I just always assume that people don't tell me that's a proctologist. Rotting Register. That's a bold play. It's a bold play. So, gonna put Chadsworth into play here, I think, and then just start telling that thing that it's not going to be dealing any damage. So until my next turn. So even if they do have a way to kill my Gideon of the Trials, it's not going to be able to do damage on my turn, so they're going to have to discard a card for it. I suppose I am letting them have it in play so they can play a Great Enge. But I think that's the choice I made, so I'm sticking with it. Yeah, probably a mistake there. Almost definitely a mistake there. Really, possibly, almost, definitely, completely, probably a mistake there. Alright, cast out is not too bad. So we'll tick Gideon up. So what do I want to be able to do here? So Ronas can't attack unless they have a creature with enough power, which they're going to have. So I think we plus my Teferi. Ronas can't enhance other creatures, so if I make the Regisaur unable to deal damage here, then they have to choose which to deal 6 to, and they can only deal 6 to me, maximum of 6. And the reason I'm doing this rather than anything else that I could be doing here is I want to cast out their Great Henge before it draws them too many cards. Can definitely pull them into this game in a way that I would prefer that it didn't. This does backfire if they have a second Great Henge in hand right now, but I think we'll be alright. We got a backup Teferi for next turn. They're pretty incentivized to kill my Gideon of the Trials, so hoping they go for that. Discard a redundant Ronas. I say redundant. It is because it's legendary, but on the same side of that, I do have ways to deal with it, and if I do, then all of a sudden they're down multiple Ronai. Ronasis. Ronoses? I don't know. Gonna kill my Teferi, sure. Suppose Teferi was ready to bounce something, so makes sense. This means on my turn, I get to play Teferi, bounce their Ronas, and turn their Regisaur off from attacking. Hopefully they don't have another Henge here. Just a Lovestruck Beast. Yep. It's kind of incentivized me to actually just Wrath. I'm going to cycle one of my Censors. I haven't really had the mana up, and even a land right now would be slightly better. Azorius Charm is a pretty good pickup. Settle the Wreckage is this insane pickup. So I can't play anything plus Settle. So I'm going to put the Emblem into play. No, I'm going to turn off the Regisaur. This is sort of, I guess, the least suspicious thing I could do. Because if they're able to attack with their Lovestruck Beast, they're definitely going to want to. Then I settle, killing the Ronas and the Lovestruck Beast, and then on my next turn I'm able to play Teferi and then have Censor up. Yeah, so this seems consistent with the way I was playing my previous turns, so it doesn't sort of tip my hand to my opponent that I have something like a Settle the Wreckage. They have Thoughtseize. It's obviously a little unfortunate, but yeah, I understand that Emblem was okay there, but then that's super suspicious. So this is actually going to work out exactly the way that I was thinking it would. So we get to settle them here. And letting them keep the Regisaur means they're going to have to discard another card next turn, which is definitely okay by me. So this turn, we're going to play Teferi, bounce the Regisaur. And then we're going to plus my Gideon on the mighty, mighty Llanowar Elves. Can't have that dealing damage. I'd like to draw a blue source here. That's not a blue source. Gideon on 7 loyalty, working up to that 0 cost ultimate. Ultimate ability. All right, what do you got? 5? Oh, I don't like this. Vivian Reed. Yeah, so that can kill my cast out and get their henge back. Yup. This means they get Regisaur and they get to draw a card. I do have a Verdict here, so... And then Chad is going to get to boot up and kill their Vivian, so... This is really not too bad. Oh, please put more onto the battlefield. Please? Come on, do it! You nerd. You guys catch a load of the nerd? Come on, man. Well, I got as many verdicts as I could possibly ever want. I'm going to cycle this Censor proactively. I'd like to draw a useful mana source here. That is not a useful mana source. Alright. Oh, I just tapped myself off Verdict because it's not mono white. Yeah, I'm really bad at this game sometimes. Yeah. Alright. So, giving them a free Vivian activation here. I do have the line of Field of Ruin and then Azorius Charm, so we'll see how punishing this is. Giving them a turn with the Vivian and the henge is not the best idea, but Scrappy Scrounger in the bin, sure. Yeah. I know, Roy. Shifting Ceratops. Well, that's a kick in the teeth. Protection from blue. And it can have haste. So this is probably going to kill my Teferi. Which I guess, as far as things go, is not the end of the world. Yep. Kind of looks like I could have Settle the Wreckage up again. It's not likely that they're going to play around it or anything, but... Scrappy Scrounger plus Great Henge is super sick synergy, so that's a bit of a problem. They're kind of incentivized to try to kill my Gideon here, so I guess that's not too bad. They can't, so they only have 7 damage at maximum, so... Woof! Yep, that's kind of how I expect that split. They don't want to attack into the Settle, okay? And they want to make sure that even if I have some kind of trick, that they're going to be able to get through, but I don't have anything that I can do to this, so... Being a bit choked on mana this game is not helping. I would like my second blue, though. I'll kill your Blooming Marsh. Would Skype be easier for you? It would be, but this video is for Wizard's Tower, so I'm just kind of keeping it me for now. Alright. Island. Cool. And I think I'm going to cycle the Censor rather than the Azorius Charm. Azorius Charm has slightly more text. Cool. Field of Ruin. Mo lands ain't mo bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so I can play Verdict and hold up Azorius Charm this turn, so that's what I'm going to do. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, Verdict. It's super effective. Gideon becomes a 4/4. Chad. Oh, hopefully they don't have Abrupt Decay right there. Good. Good. They do have the ability to get their Scrappy Scrounger back at end of turn, draw a card, but nothing I can do about that. So, and then I can Azorius Charm it back on top of their deck if I think it's a problem. Certainly not right now. Like, if they're going to hit my Gideon for 4, that's fine. The fact that it draws them a card is really tough, but we're generally in a bit of a tough spot, so. Duress. Well, that's just mean. Alright. They don't have any more black mana left, so they cannot play a Rotting Regisaur as of this moment. Yeah, another Ceratops is pretty good here. Yep. Overgrown too? What is this? Another Ceratops. No, that's giving their Ceratops haste. That's fine. Yeah, so I'm going to put that on top of their library. Shisha. Ceratops connects with Gideon, but Gideon can just start plussing next turn to turn the Ceratops off. So kind of in an okay spot. Little surprising that they didn't have anything else there, but I guess they can't have everything forever. So plussing on the Ceratops. I can Field of Ruin to force them to shuffle and get rid of the Scrap Heap Scrounger. Seems like an okay thing to do, and then play Gideon afterwards. So let's do that. Float a green, sure. Give their Ceratops reach. Cool. Play Rad Chad. Radical. Make a 2/2 White Knight ally. Yeah. 4 mana. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, sick. Sick. Oh, my God. But the synergy with Henge is gross. Why is it so gross? Ah. Jeez. Oh. I mean, luckily I have double verdict, but, like, good God. Yeah, I mean, you know what I have, so, like, yeah, take one of my verdicts. I'm going to use the other one, but, like, oof. All right. So they cannot currently kill either of my Planeswalkers. They need a Shifting Ceratops to do that. Or I guess some other green haste creature. Questing Beast. Heart's Desire, sure. Is that not non-token creature? Got it. All right. Lovestruck Beast comes in, 6/6, draw a card. I wonder if they're looking to draw a black source and then fire off another Thoughtseize or Duress here. Yeah, they'll do it post-combat if they have it. So they could swing with Scrappy Scrounger and Llanowar Elves. My Knight ally could trade with the Llanowar Elves, but it means that they'll get to kill whichever Planeswalker that they want. So likely I'm just going to trade my Knight for the Scrounger. Not the Scrounger. Not trade it. Just chump block. Let my Planeswalker take the damage, and then the Scrounger is going to be able to come back at the end of my turn. So I just need a blocker for it, which I will have. So Vantress is not the worst draw in the world. Oh, that's not great right now. So yeah, I missed Teferi too. They took him away. Yeah. So I'm not gonna have the ability to activate either of my castles here. I'm either plussing this Gideon on nothing. I guess I'd attack for 4, but I don't really think this game is going to be about attacking. So I'm going to make a 2/2 White Knight, and then I can make the emblem, but the emblem's not going to really matter the way this game goes, so I think I'm just going to plus on nothing. I got to choose a permanent. What would I not like to not deal damage to me? Henge. Henge does not deal damage to me. Get him. I do have the option to Castle Vantress on my upkeep. I'm trying to think of 3-mana spells that are currently in my deck, though, that I would really want, and I can't think of too many of them. Like, there's some okay options, but mostly I just need to draw one of my haymakers, so I'm not in danger of dying quickly. So we're going to block here whatever they attack, and then there's a good chance they vomit out a bunch of little dudes. I will say the black-green Henge deck is very impressive with his ability to grind with this card out. It's just real good. Yeah, now they got double Scrounger, so it's weird, too, that they're not a heavy graveyard synergy deck, but I still feel like it was a mistake not to board and rest in peace. So that's the right amount of graveyard synergy for your deck, where you just kind of put your opponent in a bit of a squeeze in terms of like what they choose to bring in and out. So I'm on 8 mana. I need 10 for double. That was the wrong ability to activate. Whoops. All right. So was supposed to use Gideon there to turn off one of their Scroungers. I didn't, so I was talking and I messed that up. So now we're gonna lose one of our Gideons on this one. So no, we're not. We still have the castle, and as long as I booted him up, I might as well attack. So Castle Ardenvale plus Gideon ally Zendikar are kind of keeping us in this for now. Is this another collected company? I really hope not. That's insane. It's so good. Oh, they're just tapping it to gain 2 life. I guess you can chump. No, that's the plan. That's the plan. I was talking about one thing, thinking about another thing, and then clicking on a third thing. It just, you know. Sometimes you make the goofs. Got scrap heaps coming in, trying to kill my Chadman of the Trials. Yep. Alright. Bells popping out. Popping out to say hi to these clockwork beasts. Do they finally have a thing to play? Collected company. Woof. Alright, how many verdicts have I gone through? Is it 3? It's 3. Oof. Alright. This turn, if I upkeep Vantress, I'll have 4 mana left afterwards. Good God. Collected company, draw 2. Well. Vomit. So, really need to... that's not a huge deal. Alright. So, Verdict is the absolute best draw here. Other options include Settle the Wreckage, which is nowhere near as good, but... Okay, upkeep. Oh, I did not have a stop. I put a stop on their upkeep. Whoops, too used to doing that. Well, gonna cycle this Irrigated Farmland now. Cha-cha. Draw the 4th Verdict. Teferi. Alright, so... I think I'm gonna get massacred on this turn. But... I could draw Settle the Wreckage with Teferi here, so... That is not Settle the Wreckage. If I play this, I can activate my castle. So I'm gonna plus, or not plus. I'm gonna, plus Gideon this time. Do it right. Plus Gideon and Rotting Regisaur. Make it 2/2 Knight. And nothing's gonna be able to block the Steel Leaf Champion. So the Steel Leaf Champion is what is going to be able to kill whatever they want. It's likely going to be my Teferi Hero of Dominaria. Depending on how they swing, I can Castle Vantress instead of Castle Ardenvale for a fairly ineffective blocker. So we'll just see how they split up their attackers this turn. It's a pretty rough game. I can't imagine how I possibly am able to claw my way back into this, but we're going to stick through. See how scrappy this blue-white Planeswalker deck can be. Second Steel Leaf Champion is alright. It's not going to be great against us if we top deck the Verdict or even Supreme. Settle the Wreckage is fine. Attacking only with Steel Leaf? I guess that's possible. So Steel Leaf definitely goes through on Teferi. There's nothing I can do about that. And then attacking both of these on Gideon Ally of Zendikar is really smart. So this puts us in a squeeze. If I want to keep my Gideon Ally of Zendikar, I have to trade my Knight token and all my mana. So the way this ends up, I'm just going to let the Gideon die, because otherwise I lose a Knight Ally plus my 5 mana. And I keep the Gideon, which gives me another Knight Ally next turn. It doesn't really get me anywhere. Yep. Castle, Gideon of the Trials, not great. Irrigated Farmland, not great. Alright, bottom both. Stop on my turn. Yeah. Castle Vantress again on upkeep. Teferi is another card draw, I suppose. So play my Teferi. Not 100% sure what it can draw me, but gonna see what out am I playing to here. Not entirely sure. It's been a hell of a game too, though. I will say that, like, really. Okay, so that is one of the best possible draws. I'm gonna prevent the damage from Regisaur. Yeah. Problem is they've just got way too many cards. Like we're done on their card advantage from the henge. Azorius Charm. No, I mean I knew it was one of the outs. It just like it helps me for a turn, kind of, maybe, sort of, but we're still just like horribly dead. Like the Vivian is drawing cards, it's almost gonna emblem. Like there's just very little chance we get anywhere, but they could make a mistake in the way that they attack here. Obviously, since we're sticking in this game, they may assume we have a reason. So, like, here's a perfect example of... Yeah, so they're swinging at us for 8 and Teferi and Gideon. So we get to choose which Planeswalker is going to live. I'm going to put the one that's attacking Teferi on top of their library because Teferi is an extra card draw next turn. So... And if Verdict's not going to do it because I need to get through their Rotting Regisaur, so... Because I need to hit the Vivian. There's just too many. I have one more Verdict, but the Verdict doesn't do anything right now because their Vivian's just going to be able to ultimate. Like, it wipes their board, but then they pop back 2 Scrap Heap Scroungers. And the Scroungers are going to be 6/5s with Trample, Vigilance, and Indestructible? Yeah. So... Alright. Let's make some magic. What are you upkeep doing? Assassin's Trophy my Teferi during my upkeep. That is so freaking rude. I am so glad that I didn't Castle Vantress there, I guess. But, which means I'm going to stop. And thank you, baby. We are going to Vantress now after that. Again, I think without Teferi we're screwed, but Elspeth conquers death. I don't think that does anything. So, coming up way too late. This can exile their henge. It's obviously too late for that, so I'm going to target their Vivian Reed and then scoop. Nice game out of my opponent there. The henge deck doing good work, just stealing game 1 with a very aggressive start that we really couldn't keep up with, and then just completely grinding us out in game 2. Things had broken a little bit differently on the early game, and we had been able to keep that henge out of play. We've been okay. It's surprising how close we semi felt like that. It felt like that was mildly close, and considering how many cards that they drew, that's pretty incredible. Alrighty. Shisha. Winning die rolls seems good. This is a very sketchy hand. I want to keep this. We've got double Teferi. We've got turn 2 and turn 3 to try to draw 1 land or something that cycles. I'm going to keep this. If we lose, it's definitely because I kept this medium hand. Play out the island first. A lot more decks that play blue than play white in this format right now. Bloodsoak Champion. Okay. Mono black aggro. So we're really running the gamut today of the decks in this format. Hit the second island. That is great. Jace, Architect of Thought, can be quite good in this matchup, so we'll see how that all works out. Taking 2. Clonk. Thoughtseize is fine. Take one of our 2 Teferis, but that's okay. They could take Gideon the Trials. I couldn't cast it anyway. They could take my Jace, so I wasn't able to cast that yet. And they could take my Verdict. Can't cast that yet either. So definitely doing okay against the Thoughtseize. Takes the Jace. Knight of the Ebon Legion, sure. Whoa. I took off the stop on my main phase by accident. Whoops. I'm going to play Teferi here. I'm going to bounce the... Doesn't particularly matter on this board. So... just going to bounce the 2-1. Cool. Elspeth who conquers death. Sorry, Elspeth conquers death is not a great draw against that deck. You don't have too many things that cost 3 or more. Second Thoughtseize, sure. We didn't draw a land, so there's a good chance they take my Teferi here. It's mostly the only spell I can play. Azorius Charm is okay against them, but... yeah. Kill my Teferi. This turn is going to be play replacement Teferi. Yeah, and try to draw a land. That is not a land. They've had a Thoughtseize heavy hand on their side. Looking a little flooded for mono black, and they don't have a castle yet, so that's pretty good. Castle Lochthwain means when they flood, it's not as bad for them, but they don't have that, so that's good. No Scrap Heap Scrounger yet. Third, their Thoughtseize flooded. That's a thing that can happen. If we do draw the land for Verdict here, puts us in an okay spot. Getting the Trials is not particularly good on this board, but I'll take him if I have to. They discard the Verdict, I think. Yeah. Okay, let's cycle my Censor. There's a land. Alright, so I'm going to play the Gideon. I'm going to plus Gideon on Knight of the Ebon Legion because they can pump it. Next turn, they're going to be able to attack it with Bloodsoak Champion and deal 2. And then the turn after that, I'll have Azorius Charm up to protect it. So they need to put another creature on the battlefield now. But then they're sort of extending into sweepers. Yeah. So getting to the fact they could have Swift End in their hand, but it's not too bad. We are getting towards a part of the game where I feel comfortable about the inevitability of our deck. Gonna play Hallowed Fountain this turn, and then if they swing and pump Knight, I get to throw that on top. I can actually throw both their creatures on top. So let's see how they run this turn. Taking 3 is not a problem because they have the Knight, and the Knight doesn't trigger. I'm gonna cycle at least one of these. Looking for a Verdict here. Cycle the other one. Also looking for Elspeth Sun's Champion, something like that. One of my big Mamma Jammas. Teferi. So they've got 5 power on board, so Teferi's not particularly good here. does draw me a card and let me Irrigated Farmland. So feels okay to play. Then we're going to have enough lands in play that Narset into Wrath is going to be looking possible soon. So yeah, let's do that. Sacrificial Teferi. Cycle him. So draw. Alright, Censor is not the worst draw in the world. Yep. Untap 2 lands. They've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage if they want it. So let's see where they throw this. So that's attacking me. That's attacking Teferi. That's attacking Teferi. That's attacking Teferi. Huh. Interesting split. No blockers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to cycle this Censor proactively. See if we pick up a third Azorius Charm. Did not. So with no mana left, I have no way to protect the Teferi. So just going to let this all happen. Cycle in the farmland. Gideon ally Zendikar. That's something. Verdict. Yeah. That's something. So we're going to Verdict. Get to play Narset here. And go digging for other planeswalkers. So this could be where we set back up and win the game. Gideon of the Trials. Yeah, I think I'm in for some Chad Tribal right now. Interesting templating on Gideon of the Trials. You can target things like Mutavault, creature lands. Even when they're not animated, you can choose any permanent. So if they draw their 4th Thoughtseize, that's obviously going to be Prankle. That's a tad unfortunate. Oh, sure. So, gonna kill our Narset and can make us discard a card, which I would not prefer. They didn't, though. That's good. So Gideon of the Trials is going to turn off their Rankle. Gideon ally Zendikar is going to give me land ground blockers for the Mutavault. So hopefully that pulls us back into this game a little bit. This is the part where our deck can take over with the inevitability a little bit. They still have plenty of outs. They've got more Murderous Riders. 4, 3. Yep. Swift End, sure. Spawn of Mayhem. Yep. That's a big boy. Brazen Borrower is probably a great draw right here. Because we'll be able to bounce something and chump block the Rankle. And we have Dovin's Veto for some other removal that they could have there. It even prevents the Spawn of Mayhem from dealing damage on upkeep. That's pretty cute. Play the Murderous Rider, that's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. Okay, so I think I'm going to bounce Spawn of Mayhem here. Boop. And then play my Brazen Borrower. They have only 1 card in hand. It's the Spawn of Mayhem, so I know I'm safe to do this. Go to blocks. Pick off their Prankle. So that was pretty lucky there. Looking for an Elspeth Conquers Death or a Teferi out of my deck. Not in the worst spot. That'll do. That'll do. So if I Elspeth minus, it kills the spawn. Alternatively, I can leave the spawn in play, prevent all the damage it's going to deal, and just vomit out 3 tokens, which I think is slightly better. So Kind of got them on lockdown here. We need to fade one draw, kind of. So let's see what they got. They do have this Bloodsoak champion they can start buying back if they attack, but they don't really have any open attacks. Yeah, and they scooped that. Cool. Cool. All right, so Rest in Peace is one of those awkward things to try to bring in these matchups, but Settle the Wreckage is great. Narset and Jace are... Well, Jace is okay here. Narset's not super awesome. Gideon the Trials was okay in that game. Generally not great, although Dovin's Veto is pretty medium. And then Surge of Righteousness seems like that is everything we want to be doing. So let's look. So a lot of the time they're going to kind of end up having this in a sort of Jund-like situation. Brazen Borrower was pretty A+ there. I was really surprised. If I had to cut anything, I feel like maybe one Verdict or one Teferi Time Raveler. I think one Verdict will be okay. Could definitely take out Elspeth Conqueror's Death in favor of Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace is cheaper, and taking out Elspeth Conqueror's Death means that I definitely have more. But if I do that, I think I want to keep all the Verdicts. So let's try this way. This just gives us a lot more spells we can play, and shutting down their graveyard angle is pretty good. And then Elspeth is a pretty good win condition. I think I'll take out one Gideon of the Trials here and try this one out. So Rest in Peace is an awkward card in this format a lot of the time. There are some decks that have powerful graveyard elements, but also have powerful non-graveyard elements. So okay, so Gutter Bones starting off. So all I need is enough mana, and this hand is going to be pretty decent. That was a really good pickup if they don't Thoughtseize me next turn. So getting Rest in Peace down is quite difficult for their deck to deal with. Mono Black doesn't really have any enchantment destruction, so maybe looking okay here. Scrappy, perfect. So this is an example of one of those draws that they can have where it is quite vulnerable to Rest in Peace. So starting next turn, I'm going to Surge of Righteousness, kill their Gutter Bones, then we Azorius Charm their Scrap Heap Scrounger. So looking to be in okay shape, although we are going to take, I think, 7 here. Yeah. Little Wrath Flooded, but not enough land. So hopefully we can nickel and dime our way through this. Like to draw a land. That's not a land, but gonna be okay, folks. Just gotta hold it together. Oh my god. Agonizing Remorse. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to take my Surge of Righteousness, most likely. And that means I'm going to have to Azorius Charm their Scrap Heap back on top, which means I'm taking 4 this turn. Alternatively, they could take a really weird line where what they do is they... Okay, cool. They could have taken my Azorius Charm and then attacked only with Mutavault and Scrap Heap Scrounger. I don't actually think that makes a lot of sense, but they could have done it. So hoping to draw a white land here. The whitest of lands, please. Untap blue source. Yeah, that's not... So this turn we got a cycle cast out. I think I have to draw land, Settle the Wreckage, because otherwise the Mutavaults just kill me. So I'm going to 1. Well, that's less than exciting. Tapped land, E. That's not going to do it. So this just means we're dead to Mutavaults. Yeah, that can't do it. Cool. So died to a really aggressive draw. I don't feel too bad about that one. Just counted on my 26 land deck to draw some lands. Didn't do it. It happens. Taking game 3 on the play. Okay. think I'm pretty happy with the sideboarding choices. So again, as I pointed out, Rest in Peace seems really good until you run into a game like that where it's like, oh, it didn't matter. They just played 1 mana 2/1s and 2 mana 3/2s and just kill you with them. They don't need to recur them at all. This is pretty rough. It's definitely like one of those hands where it feels like a mulligan to 5. So I'm going to mulligan to 6 rather than keep it. That's a bit better. Not much better, but a bit better. Going to toss Teferi Time Raveler here. No, Azorius Charm. Well, Censor. Well, kind of all crappy, but let's do it. Opponent begins with 7, so starting off on the back foot here. Knight. Sure. Hallowed Fountain's a good draw, so hopefully they don't immediately vomit out a bunch of creatures again. Although if they don't have more creatures, it means they have discard spells, so yeah, scrap heap, sure. So get to play Teferi here, kind of grab some tempo. Verdict's a great draw. Oops. Shasha. Get out of here, nerd. Big Teferi's not the best draw. Really looking for a land. Big Teferi and Azorius Charm are nice together, but mono black, Agonizing Remorse. Sure. Probably going to take my Verdict here. That means the Scrap Heap Scrounger is not coming back down, so that's kind of nice. There's a good chance my turn is going to be something to the tune of Cycle, Cast Out, Second Night. Sure. Cycle, Cast Out, looking for lands if we don't hit one. We did hit one. I think I just sit with this. So they're going to attack for most likely just 2. They really don't want to spend all their mana and have it be countered by a cast out. Although I guess they also don't want to overextend into a Wrath. Thoughtseize. I think that's taking my Teferi, and I think I'm okay with it. Yeah, that's fine. Not great, but fine. Yep. Okay, so we're just digging to another Verdict here, which I think I did leave all the Verdicts and all the Settles in. So I just want to double cycle here. I have all the mana that I need, so this is alright. No. Not what I'm looking for. Still not what I'm looking for. That's what I was looking for. Rewarded! And that's all permanently gone, and I have a Castle Ardenvale in play, so feeling okay here. Sweet. That is slow and clunky. In the face of our sick hand. So maybe doing okay here. Probably gonna pump this. They hit me for 1, sure. 4 mana. Spawn of Mayhem. That's fine. I can Azorius Charm that back on top. So okay with that guy. Yeah, he's fine. Gonna field. Maybe I should have held on to the field for Castle Lochthwain. I didn't really need better colored mana right now, but Cycle Censor. I think I just did this, but alright. Cycle Censor. Alright. Rest in Peace number 2. So hit the mulligan, you say. Deals 1 to each, sure. Going to move to block. Okay, I'm going to put the spawn on top. Yeah, Pumping Knight is fine. So gonna take 4 here. Yep. Go to 9. Knight gets bigger. It's not too bad. Just gotta draw a little more action. Azorius Charm is not bad as well. Field of Ruin is not great. So this turn is likely make a human and block, so they have to play full retail for their Spawn of Mayhem. I think that's what I want to do. Shot. Get in there. So, only through 1 verdict this game. So definitely have more verdicts to draw into. Lots of planeswalkers, that would be great. Also have more copies of Irrigated Farmland in the deck. Not really excited to draw those, right now. But, if I did, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's getting close, though. They're slowly grinding us down here. It's going to take 5 this turn. Couldn't put the spawn on top again, but... They aggressively pump the knight. Think I'll throw the knight back on top, and the reason that I'm doing this is the spawn... Well, I guess that's wrong, because I could block the knight with a token next turn. Spawn I can exile with the Elspeth that conquers death, which I boarded out, so not relevant. Teferi. Okay, so I can tuck the spawn, then he dies to the Gutter Bones, but that's where we're at. Alternatively, I could try to draw a Settle the Wreckage, but that seems like a good way to lose a game. What am I looking to draw here? What is the best thing in my deck? Probably one of the Gideon's. Swift End, sure. Sure. Alright. Still looking for verdict. Yeah. Time Raveler. So 1, 2, 3. So he's got to draw me something else. Okay. Certainly possible. That is one of the things he could draw me. Alright. Kinda maybe crawling back into this. Are they drawing Spawn of Mayhem yet? I don't remember how far down it was. Is it this turn? Swift End again. Woof. Okay, so they don't have Spawn here. They do have Knight. Sure. Would you like to attack? Sure. So, got a couple more draw steps, kind of. These games are super fun, where you're just kind of flying by the seat of your deck and just trying to stay alive. So, we get to make a human here to block. I think playing Elspeth, though, is going to get us killed. We'll see. Unless they decide to do something weird, like play out Murderous Riders instead of playing out the Spawn of Mayhem. Spawn of Mayhem will definitely put us in the worst position, so... Really hoping that they play Murderous Riders instead. No. Alright. Smart Opponent, SMRT. That's one of the top decks that can do the thing. Get out of here, nerds. Oh, I could have done that at instant speed on their turn. Just a little jumpy, considering how close to death I am. Apologies for the viewing experience of anyone. If this is Prankle, we're in trouble. Murderous Rider is great. Scrappy Scrounger, also great. Maybe Elspeth drags us into this game right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so... I think Elspeth plus... I'm going to plus the Teferi instead of bouncing one of these creatures. And by one of these creatures, I mean Scrappy Scrounger, because if I bounce the Murderous Rider, they get another Swift End. They somehow have 2 removal spells in hand, we die. Swift End might Elspeth. Yeah, that's not the best, but we're still alive. We're still alive. Triple Murderous Rider draw. This is crazy. It's crazy how low they are, too. I think I double block the Scrounger, I single block the Rider. Gets rid of the Scrounger forever. And they get another Murderous Rider here. Sure. Am I priced into bouncing one of the Murderous Riders? It kind of feels like I am. It's obviously not a good feeling because that gives them a chance to blow up my Planeswalker again. Suppose I could just make a blocker and then flip it on top, but flipping it on top is almost as bad as just killing it. Although it denies them draw step, so definitely want to plus my Teferi if I'm not doing that. Suppose I could zero. Yeah, I'm going to target nothing, draw a card. All right, not great, but. Did I screw up my mana? No, I have enough. Good. Oh, they don't have a non-basic. Yeah. I was like, I can field them after I put the thing on top, but... Still alive somehow. Still alive. Yeah, Murderous Rider, sure. If I draw Settle or Wrath, Gideon of the Trials. Does that mean I'm dead? I think it does. So, target permanent doesn't deal damage. Yeah, I think I'm just dead, finally. Plus my Teferi. Yeah, I think they got it now. Very, very close game. Definitely could have crawled back into this, but they had just infinite Murderous Riders, which just ended us. Actually surprised by how close this deck got to getting through this draw, but just the way everything lined up. Just couldn't quite get there. Super exciting game, though. Yeah, so Censor into Settle was going to get us there. So 2-2 now. It's funny, we beat Inverter and Sultai Delirium, but we lost to something and then Mono Black Aggro. Oh, Black Green Henge and then Mono Black Aggro. So not the biggest, baddest, boogiest of men in this format, but more Thoughtseize decks than you can shake a stick at. Alrighty, so rocking into match number 5 here. Let's get the $7 of value, get our burrito budget back. This is a fine hand. It's not particularly quick, but it's definitely got some things going on. Opponent with the classy choice, 7th Ed, White Border Island. I think since I'm not doing anything on turn 1, I want to hold on to the Censor. I'm going to play one of the Irrigated Farmlands. The other one is likely going to get cycled, but now that I have another land in hand, then I'm okay to keep that. Ooh, Scissors. No, not Scissors. Prophetic Prism. What is this? What? Some kind of blue artifact nonsense? Well. More for Prophetic Prism. Sure. Probably some kind of Whir of Invention deck. Gonna hold on to my Censor, just cycle one of these farmlands. Cool. That's a weird draw. So I don't particularly want to play Teferi, but if they are a Whir deck, they can currently Whir for all of 0. So I think I'm just gonna jam Teferi here. Not likely they're playing something like Spell Pierce or Mystical Dispute in the main deck, though they can be. Red, blue, Metallic Rebuke. That's sick. Nice. All right. Didn't play around Metallic Rebuke. Paradoxical Outcome. Yeah, I guess they could be. Yep. That's definitely outcome. So do I play into the second Metallic Rebuke with my Teferi? I think so. The chance of bouncing their statuary here feels real good. They have it again. Well, shoot. Commit. Oh, right, because this gives all of their spells improvise. Right, that makes sense. I can pick them up for next turn, so it's not too bad. I wonder if they're playing like Narset and Days Undoing as well or something like that. I think they could do something crazy like that because they're playing Commit to Memory. Just anytime I see this card, I assume there's going to be Narsets. It's a mono blue deck. Instead of playing Teferi next turn, I could also play Elspeth Conquers Death and try to exile their statuary. So, what do you have? Okay, outcome, draw 3, so there's 7 cards in hand. They could play both Prisms, yeah, and then just go to 7 again, which is pretty sick. Yeah. Wish I had something like Hour of Revelation in my sideboard here. I do not. I think I'm going to cycle this Censor. Doesn't seem like it's going to be all that useful against them. I think Elspeth Conquers Death, exile their Inspiring Statuary. With the idea being if they don't have a second one, it really cuts down on the amount that they can go off here. I haven't seen this deck since my friend played it at the end of Standard before the Ixalan year rotated, so definitely not 100% sure how they're going to do what they're going to do, but yeah, I knew Mox Amber was involved, although it doesn't currently tap for any mana. I think out of our sideboard, we definitely have Mystical Disputes that are good here. Disdainful Stroke hits the PO for only 2 mana, so, and then Dovin's Veto is probably fine. So we definitely have tools for this matchup, but I don't know how much, how fast, and how consistently they can go off. So it's neat though. Neat to see it. Oh yeah, that's your big boy right there. Psi Master Thopterus. Now every spell, every artifact they play gives them 2 artifacts, so. Can use Jace to reduce all of their power to 1 when they attack me, so. No threat of being beat to death here, but they can still combo off big time, and then I guess they just Thassa's Oracle for the win, because that card turns everything into a win. What do you got, friend? Mei Chang. Is getting verdicted bad for you? I feel like it's not. Let's do it. Come on. Bring on the pain. Sure. They can still tap Ornithopter, Springleaf, and Pathetic Prism. They use Ornithopter for an actual mana. I don't know why, because they could have just improvised it. Oh, right, this has more text. So next turn, they have to spend a bunch more on their stuff. I'm going to play my Jace, Architect of Thought here. Make it so they can't kill me, which seems good. I'm going to get a little Teferi back next turn, so I'm going to play this Irrigated Farmland, pass the turn back. Good luck, opponent. Everything costs you 2 extra, although with the number of artifacts they have in play, that seems fine. Jace, Architect of Thought being weirdly good here. It's not normally that good, but right here. Looking neato burrito. Oh, please attack. No, attack! Womp womp. Brazen Borrower. Alright, so get back my Teferi. I'll put a loyalty counter on it. I did give some consideration to putting a +1/+1 counter on it, but on reflection. So whenever a creature attacks me, loses a power. I'm going to play Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and try to pick up my Dovin's Veto or something similar, I guess. As a backup plan, I have Brazen Borrower with Petty Theft. They can't counter my spells right now because I have Teferi. I think I'm going to bounce their Statuary. If I have the chance to counter it, I will, because the thing is obnoxious. It just in what it's allowing their deck to do. It's not generally that obnoxious, but okay. Used all my planeswalkers. Go end step. So we do have Petty Theft here as well. You're gonna try to. Oh, they're gonna. Yeah. They're gonna use Psy. Sure. You can use Psy as many times as you like. They go up to 7 cards in hand. That's fine. So I didn't draw a veto or anything like that. So I think they're going to try to go off and get the win this turn, and very little I can do about it. I guess I can bounce their Statuary at a point. Artifact spells you have cast have Convoke. So that's basically the same as having the Statuary. So now they have redundant Statuary, so not going to be able to mess them up on having their combo pieces. I guess bouncing Statuary when they have Aetherflux Reservoir. Yeah, that's going to kill us. Can certainly make this a lot more difficult for them, but... So, going to go Yield. Yield. Statuary is going to resolve. I think the best chance is when they play the paradoxical outcome at some point. I brazenly borrow their Inspiring Statuary, but the problem is it's not really going to matter because, yeah. They're going to so much life here that if I ever want to actually try to kill them, it's going to be a hassle. Memory. Oh, so they can't. Yeah. All right. Oh, so they're just going off with Aetherflux, right? Okay, that makes sense. They can just dome me now. It's tapped, but... But I don't have my Brazen Borrower now, so... They just killed me. Wait, what? Do they have a second Aetherflux Reservoir? Did I miss it? I bet they did. Oh, they activated it somewhere there. Alright, that's why it was tapped. Got it. Got it. A lot of stuff going on when your opponent's going off like that. So we've got Mystical Disputes, Disdainful Strokes, and Dovin's Veto here. And I think that's everything we need. I think I want to keep some number of Verdict. Brazen Borrower seems less than good. Narset seems nutty. I wish I had more copies of Narset, actually. Azorius Charm, not good here. Seems okay. Let's do it. It's probably something I missed. Gideon the Trials is certainly not the greatest. Although Gideon Emblem means they need to attack me, so... Ally of Zendikar is pretty bad here. See if I can... Brazen Borrower might be better than the other one. It's just so slow. Though, they probably kill faster than Trials. Okay, submitting 61. We're classy. Making swift sideboarding decisions because, I don't know. It's been a long league. Yeah, I don't think I got that one in. That's fine. This is a very acceptable draw, so let's do it. Let's do it to it. Grammar, that is. I'm just going to let that come in tapped. Censor on the play is chunk better. No turn one play, sure. So we're just going to sit here for now. Gonna censor that. Just gonna fire off cards in my hand when I can. Think I play Teferi here to turn off their counter magic. I'm gonna plus it on nothing because if they play Inspiring Statuary this turn, I would like to bounce that. The card is not useful to me right now because I've tapped out anyway. So Healy, sure. Mox Amber, also sure. So now I have a Servo to bounce. Mox Amber does give them access to some mana. I don't have double white for Gideon here, so that kind of sucks. But then I drew the Jace, so it doesn't matter. Okay, yeah. No, I'm going to assume that I'm not navigating this game properly. This is definitely a weird combo deck that I do not know how to attack properly, but I think if I make it through this turn, I should be in pretty decent shape. They can go off pretty hard, though, right now. Yeah, that's pretty good. How many verdicts did I leave in? 2? Seems wrong. Attack with your O1, sure. Second white source is alrighty. I think I'm just going to keep my counter magic up now. There are important spells that I need to deal with from them. Would you like to sack your Renegade map? Nope. Alright, it's just a statuary, right? Yeah. Alright, so yielding to that is fine. Yielding to this is fine. And then just veto that. Nope. Do you need to try to draw to something better than Censor? That is not. That's pretty good, though. So I can go white, white. Yeah, I still have veto up this turn, so. Chadmanley. What is the. Jace Ultimate is not that game winning, especially in this matchup. So, little bit sad. They have the ability to draw quite a number of cards here. Woof! Just returning 2? I think I have to counter it anyway, but... Brazen Borrower kind of gives me a clock. Although, no it doesn't, because they have all these flyers, so never mind. I'm going to bounce the side to draw a card, since I was going to use Teferi to draw a card here anyway. What are you, what? Oh, you're going to sack some artifacts to draw a card. Sure, that's fine. Yeah. Keep getting my effect. Keep throwing out allies. Put down a little Chad. I like an emblem that says I can't lose. I guess so. Just in case one of their wins is with Thassa's Oracle. I think I could bounce Saheeli here. Not the best. Just hold the Brazen Borrower for now. It's nothing that I need to brazenly borrow. Boy, do I have a lot of Planeswalkers in play. It's neat. It's not getting me anywhere, but boy, is it neat. Is there anything I want to bounce at end of turn? I guess Saheeli feels slightly wasteful. It's my last piece of interaction, so this might be a bit dodgy, but... Oh, baby! Sweet Mama Narset. Honk honk. Eventually, I'm going to use my Gideon to... I'm going to plus him and then get an emblem so I can attack. You heard a goose. It's time to go down to the Apocalypse Shelter. Those Canadian goose are pretty savage. What the hell? Oh, sacrifice side. Yeah, sure. Guess that means I should have played Narset pre-combat. It's okay. Having the Narset is going to be nuts anyway. Disdainful Stroke or Teferi. Oh, that's rough. I think I'm taking the Stroke because the way I lose this game is by letting them PO. So, cast Paradoxical Outcome. Have you asked Michael Hill about geese? I haven't, but I will have the chance to do so this weekend. So I will definitely do that on your behalf. I'll be like, hey, Mike, this guy said ask about geese. Do you have a pin that says ask me about geese? I hope so. What is this? Reverse Engineer. Yeah, I'm going to stroke that. Does mean I can't play my Brazen Borrower this turn, but take my lumps there. Field. Not the best draw. Oh, I guess I should have let that resolve. I'm a goof. I have a Narset in play who just betrayed me. Alright. I can afford to Jace minus this turn because my opponent doesn't actually have a lot of creatures. Yeah, definitely taking the dispute over Unknown Card and Extra Chad. Is Unknown Card actually worse? I feel like Unknown Card is almost actually better. And then I can play backup Chad. Yeah, actually, we're going to take that pile. And the reason is because then I can boot up all my creatures and cause them to either chump block with Sai or chump block with... or lose the Saheeli. Also allows me to get my Gideon ally of Zendikar up to 5 loyalty so that I can minus him for the Glorious Anthem without him dying. Okay, so they lose the Saheeli there. That's sweet. Then they could swing back for 2. Should let them kill my Narset, so I want to get this Gideon out. Keep that one. Plus, now would like Sight deal 0 damage. Okay. And then play field. So I can't Castle Ardenvale here, but Blast Zone would have been scary, but I have this wonderful, wonderful Field of Ruins. This does mean I'm going to lose my Narset, which I'm not super thrilled about, but I think, yeah, we're letting this happen. But this does put us pretty close to just winning the game, so unless they kind of go off hard here. Okay, sack to draw, sure. Thopter, oh boy. May have miscalculated. Okay, so field the Blast Zone now. Get an island, play the Brazen Borrower. Okay. Then I can attack for a pretty unreasonable amount this turn. I'm gonna minus Jace first because see what we pick up here. This means I get to bounce Sai and still have a Teferi, so bounce Sai, see if they draw a card in response by sacking some of their creatures. I'm hoping that they do, because that means that I'll get to crack in for a pretty goofy amount. They did not. Sure. So this becomes a creature. This gives all my creatures extra power. Yep. Attack with all. This is 9, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 damage. I'm going to go to 2, sure. Play Teferi. Destroy the Thopter. Play Teferi. Draw a card. Not what I was looking for there, but that's okay. Cool. So untap 2 lands, 1 blue and white. So if they cast something that looks like it's going to end the game for me, I have to cycle my cast out and try to draw a counter. Okay, looks like we made it. Whew. Going to game 3 on the draw against Paradoxical Outcome. Gonna hit the washroom real quick. Been a 3-hour stream here, so definitely burning it down with this one. Alrighty, here we go. The final game. I think almost every single one of these matches went to 3 games, so it's been a heck of a league. Heck of a league indeed. Heckin' good time. You know it. You know it, baby. Nearly done work. You have the strangest hours, friend. Whenever the Canadian government needs you. Alright. They kept their 7. This is not really a particularly good hand against them. Doesn't have any censors, doesn't have any mystical disputes, no Dovin's Veto, but I have mana. So it's a hard hand to mulligan, but I'm going to do it. That is a bit better. I'm going to toss Jace. You're going to go home and order pizza. That is awesome. I'm going to play Castle Vantress here, just make it kind of look like I've got a weak-ish hand. Not really incentivized to cycle my Censor. So they've got Prism here. Yep, they're going to get rolling. But should be okay from here on out. We have one of the most important cards in this entire matchup in our hand right now, which is Narset. So all I got to do is try to get that on the board without them being able to stop me. So that's getting censored. Donk. And then I can play the Narset this turn, but I can't defend it at all. So if they follow with Saheeli or Sai, that puts me in big trouble. I really want to draw one more land. So I think I'm going to sit right now. The risk of them resolving something is just too high. Or the upside of the things that they can resolve, like that. I'm going to fire off the Dovin's Veto on this one. This gives me a higher chance of being able to counter something relevant. That doesn't do anything on this board, so that's fine. Teferi is not the best. So I think it's just jam Narset time and do a little prayer. Suppose if I played Teferi and I bounced something, then I could hope that I draw a land, but I think Narset is where we're at. I'm going to pick up Dispute. They don't have enough mana yet, so that these disputes definitely still have text. Statuary, sure. Statuary is fine. Verdict is not great. I'm going to cycle this cast out. I have double dispute up. Veto's an okay draw. Just looking to draw lands from here on out, and we should be a-okay. Double dispute means I can counter pretty much anything they can play, but not that. Do have a cast out in my hand, so I can get rid of that eventually. Okay. I think we go to Teferi, bounce your Reservoir. Yeah, cool. Teferi in play means they now can't counter me. Island is great. So, kind of putting this win together. Let's see if we can get there. The fact that they still can't draw extra cards is like probably what's going to put them in the ground here. So, Reservoir, yep. So now I'm going to be able to cast that out at the end of their next turn. Feels rough to draw that right now, but so if I had to discard anything from this hand, I think it's going to be Gideon. My plan, if I'm going to win this game, is just going to be to bury them with cards. I don't need to win quickly at this point. I don't even really need to cast down or cast out the Aetherflux Reservoir, but I'm going to do it because it just gets a card out of my hand in case I don't draw land like that. If I didn't cast it, then I would be discarding a card again. So I have Dovin's Veto plus double Mystical Dispute up, and they can't play counters, and they can't draw extra cards. So pretty good spot. Chief Engineer. How badly do I want that countered? So I could burn both my Mystical Disputes on it, but I don't know how much that matters. It lets them cast artifacts for free, but artifacts aren't doing anything right now. Their non-artifact spells already have Improvise, so... It costs me both Mystical Disputes, and they kind of need PO to go off right now, and I have a Veto if I need it, so... Veto if I need-o. Cool. Oh, it can attack. Yeah, that's bad. Whoops. That's a tap land. Well, I colossally screwed up. I think I also could have been plussing my Teferi all these turns. Good God, I'm just a little tired and sloppy here. So I lose my Narset, you say. The one Narset in my whole deck, and I let it die. That was a colossally bad play. Whoops! Can happen to anybody, folks. Can happen to anybody. Don't do it. Have a heart. No! No! Alright. So, gotta be a lot more careful from here on out. Prophetic Prism. Just gonna veto that on the basis that I don't want them to have any more cards. Mox Amber's fine. This is PO. Yeah, so I'm going to dispute that. They're going to pay 3, and I'm going to dispute it again. So we're okay, but very quickly can lose this game. So hopefully Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, is going to be the hero of my game here and just pull me back in from the brink of disaster when I let the Narset die again. Whoops. All right. Still alive. Still alive. Got a Veto, got a Disdainful Stroke, so we're in okay shape. Got a Verdict, too, so we do have an answer for this Chief Engineer. 3, 4. Commit. Targeting. Cast down. So that gives them their Aetherflux back. Do I care? I think I do. I'm going to stroke that. They only have one other card in hand. They can't cast a counterspell, so... They could Memory now. Which does put them on full cards in hand. So... I think letting them draw 6 is probably... Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yep. Alright. Big screw up again. Although this does mean I can draw Narset again like that. So maybe we're okay. They still can't play any counter magic. I have an out for Paradoxical, so... It's been a weird game, let me say that. So there's probably a world in which I want to use Teferi to tuck one of those things. Is that world the world that I live in? Or do I just want more mana? So Narset drawing me a card is going to be the biggest determining factor. Veto. So Veto means I have 2 counters this turn. Teferi basically permanently lets me get rid of one of these things, but then I only have enough mana for 1 counter. Out of all the things they can have, how much do I want to counter what? I think I'm okay to just move on with 2 counters. Okay. Gotta discard a card. Shad's gonna bite it. This is the slowest win condition in my hand. Definitely gonna attack Narset, sure. So Narset, I'm not gonna use her to draw me any more cards, but that's okay. Hopefully they do something like Sai or Saheeli here. Yeah, Sai is great. Sai is beautiful. Maybe they're gonna vomit out a bunch of artifacts here, and then I'm gonna get to instant speed verdict them. So that's kind of great. Sure. So verdict. So this kind of worked out in my favor in terms of not choosing to kill the Chief Engineer last turn, because now I get to kill it that way, which is great. Mana, Teferi, other Teferi. Don't really need to play much here, but I think I'm going to play my Jace and then minus him to draw some cards and then have more counters up. Ha! Those are piles. I'll take the castles, thank you. Gonna go end step, discard one of these castles, I guess. Need fine. Sacking the Inventor's Sphere? Sure, what are you getting? Pithing Needle, sure. Yeah, so trigger. Discard one of my castles. I think if they play Pithing Needle, I'm just going to let it resolve. I can't afford to waste counter magic that I have right now on it. Saheeli. Can make a lot of creatures, but I have Jace, so those don't really matter. I'll let that go. Maybe wrong, but I really got to pick my battles right now. Pithing Needle's fine. What name you? What name you? What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? Hey, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Yep. That is very much expected. So I can bounce the needle with my Teferi player replacement Teferi. Seems good. Jace protects me from all the servos, so I just need to worry about more cards coming down eventually. Can Teferi Emblem next turn. I'm going to make Prophetic Prism into a copy of Servo and attack Narset. Let's see. Yeah. Putting Narset to 1 does not bother me. She was basically at 1 already. They don't really have a good attack here. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the best thing for them to get. Means that I don't have the same way to bounce Pithing Needle. But I don't actually need to. What I'm going to do is cast out the Pithing Needle. Yeah. So, luckily we have answers on answers on answers here. So, just cast out Pithing Needle. Go to my turn. Draw. Castle. Teferi. Teferi. Jace. Don't activate Narset. Okay. I have a replacement Teferi for when I emblem next turn. I don't need to cast anything, but even if I cast Elspeth, I still have 2 counters up, so let's start showing my opponent that I am in fact intending to put them out of their misery, and I'm not intending only to win with Teferi, Hero of Dominaria Ultimate, and exiling all of their permanents and then self-tucking another Teferi. So I think we made it against PO, which means we get the 3-2. So League has been awesome. Pile of Planeswalker deck, surprisingly effective. And the Pile of Gideon, the Trials, definitely seems like it was necessary here for the... Yeah, it's fine. For the Inverter matchup. I still have my Jace effect in play, so they can't attack me for anything. Yep, and that's the scoop. Cool! So, hit 3-2 with blue-white Planeswalkers in Pioneer. So, looking over this deck, yeah, sort of different from the previous versions of blue-white that were popular before. I can go ahead and look at what that looked like. So, has a lot more interaction, a lot more counter magic. I have neat things like Torrential Gearhulk in the deck. Whereas the Planeswalker deck has 14 Planeswalkers, also has Elspeth Conquers Death, so just a very powerful sort of blue-white mid-range style deck with less counter magic, but still some good amounts of disruption and interaction here. Gideon the Trials breakout cards, since Inverter has become popular, we were able to win that matchup by putting them in a couple of tough spots where they couldn't combo us. And then just some pretty good construction overall from this deck. You can find many decks like these on MTG Top 8, or you can just Google MTGO deck lists, and you will get lists of all sorts of Magic Online tournaments with the people who did particularly well in those. I think I got this from a Modern Preliminary, they call them now. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for checking this out if you've checked it out through Wizard's Tower, and you guys have yourself the very best day you can.